me an update on the work of the Goolwa River Research Institute. My interest is around how the Institute is going from the perspective of the department, the expense of money and the time of the reports. Does that give you enough to go on?
Yep, Doctor? I think so, Senator. So Marcus Finn, Branch Head for Environment, Water and Aquatic Ecosystems Division. So the Goolwa Institute, or the Goolwa Institute for the Corongo Lakes Murray-Mouth Research, the big long name, it's an $8 million investment over 4 years, as you well know. The work of that program now is about almost halfway through. So I was down there probably about 2 weeks ago to the Institute itself at a Commonwealth Steering Committee meeting that we chaired. In terms of how the Institute's going in terms of financial payments.
Both that and the performance indicators that you're aware
so
of.
we've now paid, given delivery of milestones, $5 million of the $8 million program based on the milestones met. The Institute itself's invested really heavily in a ground-up build of the research program over the first couple of years of the program. My view on that, if I can put it like this, I think this is what you're actually asking, which is after that steering committee, I think they've done a really impressive job of connecting with the community and First Nations communities in the build of that program. They released their own annual report over the last year of activities about a month ago. That characterises a lot of the work that they've done, but I think they've engaged with over 1,000 people in building their research program. They list over 100 institutions that they've engaged with. The research plan and the program has now been approved, and I think the Institute, their own governance, has approved 25 of the 26 research projects that they intend to launch on.
Are we still on track to have a mid-term review mid-next year? Is that still the plan? I think that was raised at the last estimates. Yeah,
so I did have a conversation with the director of the Institute only this week about that. We'll likely go into that early next year.
Right.
I think last time evidence was given, it was characterised as early next year, and you asked which estimate you might ask at. So I think we'll start that early next year, towards the middle of next year. In that conversation, what I would say is the Research Institute itself, and we would support this, are really keen to engage in that mid-term review in a way that isn't administratively burdensome. They do a lot of reports back to us, provide a lot of information. So yes, we're in discussions on how to build that together, and we'll make sure that it's as streamlined as possible.
This is a process question, is that the junction point for discussions of further funding? I appreciate it's a government decision regarding funding, but is that where the assessment of future funding needs takes place in that review?
Yeah. So I think my expectation is that as we go into that review, it would be to check the current progress of the program. So it's a really good time to think about whether the desired outcomes are likely to be met in the timeline that's given. That's about the time rather than the funding. But I'm also aware, for example, that the GOID are very interested in extension of the program. I know they're involved in discussions with others and not just us. And like you said, that'll ultimately be a matter for government as to whether that's funded.
Thank you for that. Could you just pass on, in my meanderings with the community, there is great respect and gratitude for Dr. Ralston and Ms. French. If you could pass that on to them.
I will.
They come up in conversation in a positive way time and time again. That's me done on that particular issue.